Right. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Let's Talk for the month of September 2023. What an amazing time it is to be alive on this planet. We have got the greatest, what we have got pending is the greatest reality TV show in the cosmos. It's on its way. We've got the murmurings of it happening already. And I am fully confident that it is going to be the most amazing time to be alive on this planet. Today, logistics first. Okay. When it comes to first of all, I want to welcome any new folks. The new folks that have come along, welcome to our lovely little community that we have here online. It is a gorgeous community of people who have really worked through a lot of the information, you could say, worked through different spiritual modalities and been on the path of a so-called truth seeker. You work it out after a while that you just don't really need to seek so much truth, so-called truth. And after a while, you just learn to allow the information to cross your path as you need it, when you need it, to be in that state of flow. So you don't have to really force it. And we're a happy lot. We really are a very mature, spiritually mature and happy lot here. And so we function on the premise of love, honor, and respect. They are the three foundational principles of what it means to be a knight, and live by the sword, meaning the energy of truth, of what is real and what is organic and authentic. And these are the principles that we live by. Okay. Also, when it comes to Q&A, I'm going to encourage the folks who don't normally jump on and ask questions to do so. And if I could ask the people that are usually up comments and questions to maybe take a little step back today, if you could force yourself to do that. It'll be nice. And then also, if you do come on, please just ask a question. We're looking to have the Q&A part a little bit less social in its structure and a little bit more informative in its structure. So we do require direct questions in order to achieve that. So just asking for an effort on everyone's behalf so we can have a livelier Q&A section and the ability to get through more questions and more folks in the Q&A time. All right. We also going to have a small special guest to do with an advertisement. I'm going to have a little advertisement section. It's just supporting a dear friend who is in a challenging time and a transitional time. So that'll happen in about 40 minutes or so. All right. Let's get on with it. All right. There's been a lot of movement going on in the background, as we know. There's great people reporting on this. More and more are coming through on the topic of exopolitics and the integration of the geopolitical scene into the exopolitical scene, touching on the cosmopolitical scene, is on in earnest. It is truly, genuinely happening. So for me, yay, it's a big yay. I've been looking forward to this time for most of my life. So as far as I'm concerned, all the groundwork we've been doing up until now is very valuable, because now it's coming into the implementation phase of all this great knowledge and wisdom and growth that we've all gone through over the last few decades. So I'm truly excited about our current situation and where it's headed. There's one thing that's really important to remember through this whole process that we're in is to question, the old critical thinking, and to do it first and foremost within our own structure of mind and therefore consciousness, and to really allow oneself to let go of what you hold on to as a belief system, because it's like we live our identity through it. I've been doing it. You've all been doing it. And it's really important to not be attached so much to an idea as we have been before. And I'm not saying not to stand true in your conviction on something you're truly passionate about. I'm not saying not to do that. What I am suggesting is, with the flow of information that is coming through and is going to come through, and we're looking at a psyop that is pending very, very soon, and it's going to be way bigger than what COVID was in the impact of mind control on the population. So holding on to our own integrity is of utmost importance, and our own state of mind, your cognitive liberty is the actual terminology, is of utmost importance here. So what the approach that we have is not only sharing the information here on the We Are Infinite community, it's also backing it up with philosophical support, with spiritual support, in the way of bringing about an awareness and a process and tools and techniques in my courses, of course. Horses are horse, of course. And then we go into that space of being capable to respond with ability to what gets thrown at us. So our foundation is our heart, soul, essence. It's our core within here. It's not a gland in the head in here. That is not the way we operate. We're not interested in connecting to a cosmic empire's realm of consciousness that stores information, because that's like going down to your state library down the street, your government library, and thinking you're going to get all the information on life inside of a library. And that's just not how it works. That's not reality. You'll get a body of information, but slanted towards the imperial narrative. And this is what we've got with that realm called the Akashic field, what people call the Akashic. That is a field of consciousness which Empire installs around every planetary system it assimilates into its imperial infrastructure. And then to access that, you need to access through their technologies, whether it's that or whether it's something that's been infused into the human physiology over tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 years, called the pineal gland. So very advanced technology already installed within us for this coming time. They already planned it. So I'm just letting you know the facts. Whether it bumps up against one's belief system or not, that's fine. Just please don't reject what is shared here outright. It is most certainly at least worthy of consideration and investigation. That is my request. Okay. And just for the people putting their hands up, Dominique, it's okay that you put your hand up. Just letting you know that I will address people that put their hand up for the questions after we have a break. So I'll talk for a little while, and so leave your hand up. That's all right. You're first in the queue. And then we will, I'll get to your questions later after my initial presentation. Okay. So the first topic I want to get to is the name of Earth. Okay, so we know that in the Sumerian text we have Anu, Enki, and Enlil and Enki, right? If I was to put it in hierarchical order. Now, Enki's not a name, it's a title. It is a title for custodianship and management of a planetary system and certain operations within the imperial infrastructure. The name of the being, he calls himself Ea, E-A. That's the name of the being. The title is Enki. Now, Enki and Ea was given dominion over Earth or management over Earth for a long period of time, and it was going pretty good for him. He was doing a really good job for a while, to a degree, from an imperial perspective. Not so good for the indigenous inhabitants for our planet. That was the challenging part in this whole equation, right? And it's interesting that the name of Ea is really close to, in a particular culture on Earth here, which is my cultural heritage, which is the Greek cultural heritage, that we call our planetary mother, we call her Ea. Stin Iasu is when we toast, we say Stin Iasu. So that means to the spirit of Ea within you. Okay. And when we toast to a group of people, we say Stin Iamas. So to the spirit of Ea in us. It's not paying homage to Enki. It's actually the name, the vibration of the mother, the planetary mother energy. So I'm finding a really interesting correlation of the name that Enki is presenting as his name and the vibration that this ancient culture, which as far as my avatar goes, is that this genetic lineage is a part of. And it's something that I feel very deeply. Now, whether he has done that to have that vibrational harmonic match, do you know what I mean? We're talking about fields of resonance, right? So whether that name has been appointed, adopted, or is it his original name and it's just a beautiful coincidence? When you, for those of us who have had a ceremony with ayahuasca, we affectionately call her Aya. And it's like it's the spirit of Aya, is the spirit of the planet. Aya, yeah. It's something that's very, very deep. So I'm looking at this because I better slow my mind down because my tongue's tripping over my teeth. Just one moment. When I'm in this state, it's an outpouring of information, and it's like I'm trying to turn the tap on a hose, but what's behind it is a giant dam of water wanting to come through. So I just need to try and regulate it and slow it down. Otherwise, I end up stumbling all over the place. Yeah, it's a big energy today. And by the way, happy equinox, everybody. Happy equinox. I love equinoxes because they're all about the point of balance. Yeah. And that little beautiful nook in between the states of polarity where we can actually hop through into that third state of harmony, taking the dialectic of opposites, yin and yang, and then transcending them into the field of unity. So equinoxes are a really beautiful opportunity to focus on balance. All right. So when we're dealing with an imperial infrastructure, whether it's the Anunnaki, because the name Anunnaki actually means the peoples of Anu, it's been translated to those that came from the heavens to earth. That's another translation. The more direct translation is Nahi means the community, the people, and Anunnaki means the peoples of Anu. And that is me connecting to the experiences I've had with that imperial infrastructure on a galactic level. In other words, my incarnational experiences through that space. We've all had them. It's quite a big empire. Let me explain it that way. It's large. It's kind of like, let's say you got the British Empire on this planet, and let's say you had an incarnation in Canada, or you had an incarnation in Australia, or you had an incarnation in the UK somewhere. You know, it's all part of that imperial infrastructure, even though there's different locations of it and different species involved. It's quite a large imperial infrastructure. So coming back to Aya's appointment here, there was an issue where Aya had, or shall I say Enki had, had this reality functioning to a particular point or a degree of harmony, you could say. He got, this is a piece of information that hasn't been shared, that I know of anywhere, because it ties into information that has been shared a lot. Okay, so we've been told that Enki made an adjustment on the genes, on our genetics, to make us a bit more, so this is the narrative, godlike. And to the behest of Enlil, who was, I'm not so sure that they're blood brothers, right? But let's say the narrative we're told is that Enlil and Enki are brothers and Anu's the father, right? I'm not so sure that's the case, that they're blood brothers, but anyway, we're just going to sit with that. Time will show us. At the moment, I don't have a definitive answer for you, but I'm throwing this into the equation just to stir up and stimulate contemplation, consideration, and investigation and curiosity. So Enlil got to the point, oh, sorry, I'll come back. So when Enki was doing that and meddling with the genetics, because they'd already done it for a few 100,000 years, right? They came here about 348,000 years ago, somewhere there, and began. They might have had reconnaissance before then, but in a really en masse way, coming to this planet to start their projects and interfere with the genetic evolution of this planet, both on us as a paramount incarnational species and also as for them to make adjustments to the environment, the ecosystem. Because that's what you do as a cosmic conqueror. If you want your incarnational species, your focused incarnational species to live and function in a particular way, then you have to make adjustments to the environment, the ecosystem as well, in order to facilitate their behavior that you wish to achieve with your incarnational, paramount incarnational species that you're focused on. So, because obviously it interacts with the ecosystem environment, all living things do. and the environment influences the behavior. Okay, so our ecosystem had to be edited as well. And I'll go into that topic another time, or I did release some information on that 5 years ago, somewhere there. But we won't focus on the editing of the environment today. So when the Anunnaki came here and were looking at the humanoid species that were already here, and there were several here running in parallel, there was a whole lot more genetic experiments that took place after that. And the directive to Enki to make alterations to our genetics as we were emerging in their epoch as the paramount incarnational species on Earth, the directive came from Anu. And Anu got that because he was because of his capacity to function as a consciously aware being in our galaxy. He, through his own life path, and especially when it came time to sitting on the throne that he sat on, there's many different levels, but the level he sat on, excuse me, oh, the energy going through me right now is so big. He went through a change. Anu went through this really huge change in his own personal growth. And he began to have more of a conscious relationship with the galactic being, the galactic consciousness, which gave him also more conscious awareness of the cosmic intelligence, and then the flow on to the universal intelligence. So he was changing as let's call it a god, right? And he realized, it was more of a realization rather than a download, right? Think of it as a realization, because that's my process. I have realization moments. I don't just get downloaded information. Yeah, it's conscious relationship with reality itself, and then you have realizations through that relationship. So, okay, now I get it, you know. And he was going through a massive spiritual growth process, and he came to realize, because initially the Anunnaki came here for their own imperial needs and wants and desires, yeah. However, when he sat back and questioned the bigger picture of why the Anunnaki particularly were focused on this planet in this way, and the work that they were doing here, it was a realization that he had through his conscious relationship with the galactic mother that, hey, there's something really big going on here with planet Earth that he was just not aware of initially, you know. And so he ended up issuing the directive to Enki to make modifications and to put in to our, what we call our genetic structure, hidden codes, which when this realm would reach a particular vibration, those codes would activate. In other words, it's like an awakening process. So encoded into our genetics are hidden, because these codes are frequency, packets of frequency. And it, whether it's an Anunnaki empire, whether it's the Pleiadian empire, whether it's the Syrian empire, it doesn't matter. Every single species and civilizations that live out there have a frequency range. okay? A range of frequency that they live and operate within. They can't access anything outside of that. That's their scope of conscious awareness, and not only physical capabilities, but also spiritual capability. They only have a certain range. We've been limited within a particular range. So the Anunnaki were in a particular range, and Anu was beginning to access outside that range in a very big way. And he entrusted Enki, or Ea, to do the modifications under his specific instructions to hide these codes, because he also knew that at the end of this cycle, there'll be a huge influx of what he would call peers. So other individuals that are of very, what we would call high positions, whether it's regal in nature, royal lineages, right? And there would be a huge influx of all these people that are commanders of fleets that hold very high philosophical positions in different cultures and societies. It was going to be a massive influx onto Earth of incarnational influx on Earth of all these people that hold all of these really great seats of responsibility, if I could put it that way, positions of responsibility, which were to bring in energy and codes, and that would specifically interact with those hidden codes and create that awakening, that opening of from a very limited operational frequency, meaning, you know, living inside of the veil in the mind matrix, right? And being able to now access portals or codes and vortices of energy that are beyond, okay, beyond what we are currently operating with. So this is quite huge in nature when you begin to remember or realize that, hang on a minute, you know, where we've got the narrative that Anunnaki came here and created slaves. Well, that's a part of the Anunnaki empire and may have been a part of the original intention for coming here, but that shifted over time because Mother Earth has this, you know, Gaia, Lady Gaia, yeah, has this beautiful way of whoever interacts with her, she touches them with this magic of love, you know, and this magic of what is real, what is true, and what is emerging in evolution in this universe due to our fractal nature. So the more they studied us, the more they freaked out, the more they came to realize, hang on a minute, we've got a species here that actually has the ability to access more life force than any of us gods can, you know? So Enki also put in these awakening codes, and it's been really fascinating to take that journey in this avatar body and experience that myself. And I'm sure it's been the same for all of you. And it really helps to better comprehend why people like us are so different to the average Joe Blow walking the street, who literally, you know, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and I'm sure you all have, where there's just, they cannot reconcile what you're talking about. They haven't the capacity. There's not even a skerrick of, well, that sounds really interesting and it's worthy of consideration. It's just like, what are you talking about, man? You know, this is nuts. I don't, you know, they just put a wall up and there's just no getting through that, okay? And one of the reasons is, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, one of the reasons is they are not structured like we're structured. Our spirit and consciousness comes into these avatars and activates those codes, whereas theirs don't. And their codes will be activated not through their spirit and consciousness initially. It's going to be through global events, whereas our avatars have been activated just by our spirit and consciousness. We don't need the global events to activate ours. We will utilize the global events and the impact they have on our psyche, on our consciousness, on our emotional field, on our physical avatars, and on our spiritual field, to go to the next level of triggering, activating, and awakening. But the initial activation is our own spirit and consciousness. And that's what differentiates us from other folks. Not that we're better. This isn't about we're better and look at us, we're so fantastic. It's not about that. It truly is about those of us who have come with incredible skills and knowledge and wisdom and ability to actually begin to live our fundamental purpose. And it will happen to each of us individually at different times. We're not cookie cutter machines where we're all doing exactly the same thing at the same time. That's not how this process is actually operating. And so if you're sitting next to someone who's really awake and aware and blah, 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 don't feel jealous. It's not wise to feel jealous. Feel happy for that person and just be patient, because your time to achieve where they're functioning, their modus operandi is at the moment, it's coming. It's coming. It's a timing thing. So we all have coded within our structure, in our ethereal fields, in our spiritual fields, in our consciousness, in our spirit, we have different, thanks cookers, we have different timing elements to our own individual journeys as to how we're going to actually get to that place of conscious, aware relationship with reality itself. And we're all in the process of achieving that. So be patient with yourselves. Now, Enlil got pissed off because Enki had this conspiracy going on with Dad, right? With Anu. And when Enlil found out about that, he was really upset, because a lot of the humanoid structures, because they had several on the go, and they did a lot of genetic experiments, including infusing humanoid and animal genetics, like your centaurs and your, minotaurs, and all sorts of I would call, from my memory of an incarnation in Mu, horrendous genetic experiments that were taking place by some of the factions of the Anunnaki, particularly the Enlil faction. He's got an issue with power. And so Enlil got really upset, and he's like, right, I'm going to reset this whole thing. Because Enlil had more of a authority in space operations. He was more the general, and Enki was more the local appointed manager or custodian of Earth and somewhat this solar system. But Enlil had more of a official authority in his position. Now, he got really upset when he heard this, and he's like, right, I'm wiping everything out. And he instigated the Great Flood, because he didn't like how there was revolts going on, how the sheeple were standing up, were collaborating, were having a voice, were becoming consciously aware of the imposition of empire upon the human race. So we're dealing, and when I say Enlil, I'm actually talking about Yahweh. I hope you realize that they're one and the same being, right? So Enlil wipes out the majority of the ecosystem. Why? because he wanted to take control of this planet in a really deep way. And the one thing no one ever talks about when it comes to the Great Flood, now I'm happy to be wrong with what I'm about to say. At this stage in my life, in my journey, this is the process. Whether I call it a fact or a truth, let's not go there. But this is what I know occurred. And like I said, I'm happy to be wrong. In order to take full control of this world, the original seeding of this world was done by a huge conglomerate of different star systems in full conscious relationship with the galactic mother and obviously the planetary mother, because it is the galactic mother incarnated as a planet, which is also the universal mother. So the universal intelligence as a feminine being is who this planet is. It's her responsibility to facilitate this fractal process. It's no one else's responsibility in the universe. It's directly hers. So in order to take control, he needed to create an environment and an ecosystem that was going to be under his full control. So after there was wars that took place in this solar system for control of the solar system, the moon, which came from the Pleiades star system, was used to seed Earth in a more substantial way than when it comes to the ecosystem and environment than any other group. And so what needed to happen was the moon, when it was lost in that war, in that battle, and it was parked around Mars for a while and studied, was then brought to Earth. When it was placed around the Earth in orbit, that was what created the Great Flood. And I'm just not hearing anyone talk about what created the Great Flood. All we're hearing is that God did it. And my knowledge and how can I put this? I'm open to being wrong. At the same time, this is just so real for me. I don't know how else to put it. Anyway, I'll just leave it there. So do your due diligence. Don't take my word for it. I feel deeply that the moon was the cause of the Great Flood, and it is the mechanical device that Enlil needed to take full control of this solar system, and of this Earth, and create the dualistic nature of things here. So he dug his heels in and goes, right, I'm going to take full control here, and that was the pathway that Enlil or Yahweh chose. And then after a time, influenced the people to actually worship him as a god. And so the story goes. All right. What I'm going to do now is do something that I haven't done before, and going to introduce an ad break. All right. So I'll come back to the disclosure narrative in a little bit. But I want to invite on a friend of mine who's been running a business that is been helpful to me and my health and well-being for some time. And there's been changes here in Australia to do with supplement laws. So I'll let this lady come on and talk about it, because there's a big shift going on, and it's sad to see what our regulatory authorities are doing, and basically that the supplement of hydrogen is at the end of this year no longer allowed to be sold as a supplement, and I'm really bummed about that, because it's the best supplement I've been taking for a long time. All right, so I'm going to bring on my friend Selena to talk to you about that. Where are you? Just got to find you, bring you on. Where'd you go? Have you got your screen on, Selena? I'm imagining you do. Just got to find you here across the top. I get 5 people at a time, so I'm just clicking through. There you are. Thanks for waving. All right. If you can then unmute.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, Selena, how you doing, mate?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm not going to take up too much time because I don't want to like impose on the resonance that's being held in this beautiful group this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. So George wanted me to come on just to explain in my own words what's basically happening, not only with me personally with my business, which is called Super Cells, but also the supplement industry in totality is under attack. And this is like a global movement towards really impeding the health industry, the natural health industry. And Big Pharma is obviously stepping in to try and take ownership of everyone's health or sickness. So it all started for me. I have a supplement called molecular hydrogen, and hydrogen being the most abundant element in the universe.
Yeah, in the solar system,
Obvious,
especially.
yeah. Well, there you go. It has it's very, very powerful, and the power can be illustrated by how much hydrogen is in the sun, how much power the sun has, and it really just ignites our cells. But it's
Well, we are
almost
made of a lot of water, right? Mostly water,
mm-hmm,
70 to 80% water, and that's H2O, right? So two
that's right.
hydrogens to one oxygen.
And I'll actually explain something even further
Mm.
on that in a sec, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a really, really good point. So, uh, yeah, so this supplement, I tried it once. I had adrenal fatigue. You couldn't get it in Australia. This is about 7 years ago. And within a week, I was completely fixed. I find that the more spiritually aligned someone is, the more they can actually feel the activation in the cells from this product. It's just, yeah, it happened with you, George, like instantaneously. And I was the same. It performed like an instantaneous healing on my body. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is incredible. I got to get this. I got to get this here. So the supplement itself has come a long way in terms of efficacy, concentration, and just before I had to put it in a liter bottle, put a tablet in, shut it for half an hour, and wait for the hydrogen to formulate. And now you just drop it into a glass. Anyway,
Glass of water.
yeah, glass of water. Sorry.
Hmm.
So what happens is, because it has an innate intelligence, and that's the only way I can describe it, it actually, and the size of it is so small, it can go past the blood-brain barrier into the cells and basically attaches to the most damaging free radical, which is the OH radical, which is the hydroxyl radical. So we've got H2, which is molecular hydrogen. We've got OH, and it attaches to the OH and it forms H3O, which is basically structured water, and then it leaves your body. So what it is doing is it is seeking out, like fatally attracted to these hydroxyl radicals, attaching to them and leaving your body through sweat, urination, tears, whatever, right? So that in itself is amazing because free radical damage is responsible for inflammation. Inflammation is the number one reason that we get disease. So all disease comes from inflammation. So everything was going fine, and people were really enjoying the benefits as they would. And the pandemic hit, and basically there was a study that came out from Canada that showed that this hydrogen supplement could actually negate what's called a cytokine storm. So a cytokine storm is out of control inflammation. So when your body is out of control, it's like a bushfire that's burning out of control. And hydrogen is like the water that comes on and tempers it back so that it's manageable. The minute that got released, I just got targeted. So no one could find my website on Google. Facebook and Instagram said you can't advertise anymore. And it's just been ever since then. And I called the manufacturer and said, what's happening? And he said, yeah, this is happening. anyway, it's been an uphill battle since then because I've been so passionate about this product because it has helped so many people. I am witness and testament to that. Anyway, the last straw now is the TGA, which is the FDA equivalent in Australia. They have now said you can't sell hydrogen from the end of November in Australia. It has to be categorized as a medicine. They won't let it be categorized as a medicine. So yeah, in a nutshell, I'm closing my business. So I just wanted everyone to know that hydrogen, if you wanted to try it or you wanted to stock up on it, it is being sold at a really cheap price. I'm just sort of covering my costs because I've got a lot of stock. So this has really come out of the blue. So yeah, I welcome you to visit my website. It's mysupercells.com if you feel called to. I'm not doing a hard sell here. I just think if anyone feels aligned to this and they think that it would be good for their body, it would be great. And yeah, it can still be sold in America. So if anyone has any, if they know anyone that would want to buy some in bulk and distribute in America or overseas, I'd be open to that as well. But I just, yeah, really thank you for your time. And yeah, thank you, George, very much.
No worries at all, Selena. You've been a great friend and great support over the years, and your integrity is incredible. So, you know, it's proven. So if anybody would like to get some, I'm definitely stocking up. And mysupercells.com. Yep, there it is. Stella put it in there for folks to get to your website. Yeah, you could also click through my website. I have a page on there, a product page, and so you can get it through my website as well. If you just go to Marketplace, and it'll be there. All right, Selena, have you worked out what you're going to do next?
Yeah, I just bought some acreage, so I'm moving to Mudgeeraba. Yeah, so I'm actually just going to take some time just to create a home there for myself and my boys. I have no plans. I'm just going to see what comes. I'm not pushing anything. I'm not like desperate to get into something else. I've always been looked after, so I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm just looking forward to having some time off and stepping out of the rat race for a while. Yeah, it's definitely been exhausting. So yeah,
it's been a big journey for you, and we have the odd chat in the background and odd counselling session and just a couple of mates, really. Just
don't jump off the cliff, Sal.
Yeah.
I'll talk you back from the edge.
No, you've done incredible work over the years, and I know that this world's a better place for it. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, you're most welcome. Yeah. Okay. Great. So you do the old sell. Do yourself a favor. If anyone remembers that advertising skit, do yourself a favor and get yourself some hydrogen. It really is a base element of our existence on this planet due to our water structure and also due to the solar structure as a base element of the solar system. So it really does have an impact. I mean, in Japan, they've got clinics treating cancer patients, et cetera, that are walking in, and they've got masks and water and all sorts of stuff, and they'll sit there and breathe in the hydrogen for an hour and then walk out as a treatment, et cetera. So there's a lot of scientific research and development going on with hydrogen in a very, very big way behind the scenes in other countries that we don't hear about. Very successful treatments. So I like the idea of getting a glass of water and just dropping this effervescent little tablet in there and just waiting for about, I don't know, 20 to 30 seconds and then drinking it. And it, I start my day with that. I really enjoy it, and I always feel better and more balanced and yeah, and more consciously aware. It's like it's not as hard as a coffee. It's more gentle in the way you get this more subtle, sort of waking up clarity first thing in the morning. So I highly recommend it. And you can have them throughout the day as well if you want. All right. Well, that was our little advertisement, a little ad break. Good on you, Selena. All right.